What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Talk of the Tundra, your Green Bay Packers podcast that is a proud partner of the Eurostep Podcast Network and the Blue Wire family. As always, I am your host, Numac, coming to you on this lovely Saturday morning, as I'm hoping you're listening to this as you eat your morning cereal and watch some cartoons. And joining me to talk about the latest and greatest in the drama that is apparently the Packers' offensive playmakers is my lovely co-host, Jordan Chesky. Jordan, how you doing?
Doing well. I'm doing well. It's a Friday night. Sorry, Saturday
Friday
morning.
night.
We're we're blasting Montel Jordan.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Or Rebecca Black, as of like right now. It's Friday.
I
Yeah.
remember that song.
Yes.
That song is like 14 years old.
Fifth, yeah, because I think it was like freshman year of high school. For me, which was like 2009.
Mhm.
Lovely. But I'm here to be mad today, folks. We're
Yes,
gonna
you
talk.
are.
We're gonna talk a little bit about the AFC North a little later as we finish up a recap around the AFC. But I was notified, rather scrolled on my timeline this week, of an article by ESPN's own Bill Barnwell. Headline is ranking the NFL team wide receiver, tight end, running back talent for the 2024 season. I click in. Also, ESPN shoehorning their way into my life puts the headline on their top thing. The Packers wide receiver room is good. Wide receiver room is good. Is it great? I went, oh, I want to read some propaganda about my favorite team. Spread the gospel of how good Jaden Reed, Devontae Wicks, Dontavia Wicks, my apologies. Uh, Josh Jacobs, Tucker Kraft, Luke Musgrave, Christian Watson, Ron Dobbs, how good they all are. Wax poetic about their skills coming into their sophomore and junior seasons, respectively. What do I find? Some bullshit, Jordan. Some bullshit is how I'm gonna say it. Cause he ranks them all, and I'll set the premise a little bit. We're gonna get into this. Say, wipe away a fuzzy from my face. This is just about running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends, as Bill writes in his article, and it's also only about on the field performance during the 2024 season. Injury histories and suspensions matter. And then it says wide receivers are weighted more heavily than running backs or tight ends. The focus is on elite and a team's top 5 contributors. Okay. Number 32 on this list. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm just kind of glossing over. Number 32, LA Chargers. They lose Keenan Allen. They use Mike Williams. They lose Austin Eckler. It's not looking good over there. Obviously. 31, Patriots. They don't got a lot of talent either, respectively. As we scroll, I'm scrolling. I'm kind of glossing over these. And who do I see, albeit way too early in my fucking scroll, but my hometown Green Bay Packers at number 17. 17! Jordan. Oh my word. I am upset because Bill Barnwell is claiming that half of the NFL wide receiver, running back, and tight end core is better than the Packers. And I don't fucking believe it. I'm sorry, Ty, for the swearing so early on in the podcast. Truly.
That's three.
That's 3. I don't care. It's stupid. Because my biggest issue with this is not the Jaguars at 16. It's not the Ravens at 15. I take a couple of scrolls of my mouse here. Who do I see at 7? The fucking Lions. Are the Lions deserving to be there? Probably. They're pretty darn good between Dave Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs as the running backs, as well as Amon-Ra St. Brown, James Williams, and I forget their other receiver over there. Oh, not receiver. What's his name? The tight end, Sam Laporta.
Sam Laporta, yes.
That's a top 7.
Bill Barnwell, um, Sam Laporta has only played 1 year, but has compared to the next Travis Kelce in terms
Yeah,
of like, you know, high praise.
high praise, and I get it. He was really good last year. If you want to lob that in, go for it. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with the Lions here. Who do I see at fucking 6, Jordan? The Chicago Bears. I don't buy this for a moment. Because, sure, you want to put DJ Moore up there at like the upper echelon receivers. I am okay with that. You bet. Albeit, go for it. Keenan Allen hasn't been healthy in 5 years. And then he goes, I'm not sure if Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and Rome Odunze form the best trio of wide receivers a quarterback has had during a rookie year, but it can't be far off. Rome Odunze hasn't played a snap! What are we doing? Like, I get it. I like him too. I think he's going to be good. He hasn't played a snap. He hasn't played a snap. Their running back is DeAndre Swift. He has went through 3 teams in 3 years. The Lions traded him.
Yeah.
The Eagles let him walk. The Eagles could have used the running back. They could have played it. They traded for him. Why wouldn't they want to pay him? I just can't believe it. Like, their backups are Roshan Johnson and Khalil Herbert. Where is the thinking that that's the 5th best offensive playmakers in the NFL? And then this is honestly, I kind of get it. I don't agree with it, but I see the vision. The Vikings are 5. And like, of course, Justin Jefferson really brings them up. Jordan Addison was good last year in his rookie season. He wasn't like way better than Jaden Reed. He's not way better than Romeo Doubs or a healthy Christian Watson. And they don't have TJ Hawkinson for 3/4 of the year, recovering from his ACL injury. Like, if Aaron Jones is good in the backfield after in his age 29, 30 season, I'm pretty sure, they'll have a good running game. But then it's I could not tell you. Here, I'll look. Who do you think is the backup running back in Minnesota? Do you know? Because I don't.
Oh, it is on the tip of my tongue.
He was their starter after Alexander Madison got benched last year. Is now I remember how this is.
Ty Chandler.
Yeah, like I'm taking not taking as it's bad about Aaron Jones, but like Josh Jacobs and Aaron Jones are probably similar skill level.
Yeah.
And Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft aren't. Well, Tucker Kraft is recovering from a torn pec, but he's gonna be ready for the season. TJ Hawkinson isn't. Their starting tight end is either Josh Oliver or Bobby Tunyon.
Yikes.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know where in the world Bill Barnwell gets off on this article. It's just crazy, Jordan. Do you understand this? Like, I know you do, and I'm ranting a little bit. But
Yeah.
Christian Watson, when healthy, obviously when healthy is a pretty big caveat. But if the training over the offseason went well and he's mitigating his hamstring issues well, he could be on the season or on the field for the most part of the season, right? And
Yeah.
he's a game-breaking receiver in this offense. Put him next to Romeo Doubs, who is a touchdown machine in the red zone, Jaden Reed, who they used all over the field, Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave stretching the field in their own ways as tight ends. And then you bring in a young running back, young-ish, 26, I believe, in Josh Jacobs to be another pass catcher out of the backfield and just a good rusher, a former rushing champion, title rusher, right?
Leader.
Yeah, rushing leader in the NFL of 2 years ago. Played for a really bad team last year. And, again, this isn't talking about quarterbacks. Quarterbacks are null and void in this, so this is my own point. I'd rather have Jordan Love throwing to these people than J.J. McCarthy or Sam Darnold. That's all I'm saying. So, I want to...
Or Caleb Williams.
Or Caleb... I mean, he might be really good. Like, that's fine. But regardless, it's still a rookie. He hasn't taken a snap yet either. It doesn't make sense in my brain, Jordan. I held that one back. It doesn't make sense in my brain. Like, it's incredible. It's such a detraction from like how everybody thought of this Packers wide receiver room last year and how their guys were like playing. Like, Jaden Reed had a real shot if he had gotten started like earlier in the season at Rookie of the Year last year. And plus, if CJ Stroud doesn't have an amazing
If
season.
it was, I mean, if we're taking the quarterbacks out of it, basically CJ Stroud,
him or
it probably
yeah.
would have been either him or Jordan Addison.
Right. But then, like, That's 12 spots difference. That's it, I don't know. I'll let you talk. I kind of dominated that discussion, but I want to hear your take on like this hierarchy that he made, which I think is stupid.
I would say we should note he has included in this column the last two rankings for playmakers and how where the Packers have ranked in this kind of column last couple of years. The Packers ranked, I believe, 28th last year. Um,
Yep.
and the year before, 29th, the first year without Devontae. So that is a considerable jump. Yeah, I mean, I think it should be noted that it's not with any one player kind of over like superseding over one another. That is kind of the biggest. We all, even, I mean, if you read what he has to say about the Packers, it's glowing. Like, it's not even just about who has proven themselves as like productive players already, whether it's a Jaden Reed or still kind of, wanting that hit of Christian Watson based on what we have seen when healthy. But Dontavian Wicks has been like, he looks at the yards per route run and how that's an indicator for success as your career develops. Bo Melton's not even mentioned, but that's a sturdy four, wide receiver 4 or 5, and Romeo Dobbs has obviously had big moments too. I think the Packers just suffer from they're just really young. No one receiver is better than the other at this point. Like, we all have like who we think it will be, but like it's not like this is the clear number one guy within the skill players that they have. Right now, it's probably Josh Jacobs just based on what he's done, like production wise, and because he's been in the NFL far longer than a lot of these players are. But I think that is how I view the difference in rankings versus Detroit, Minnesota, Chicago. But yeah, like I think knowing the future predictive rankings or like power rankings, how you want to look at it, it is. I would say it's a little egregious, maybe not rant worthy, but I would say there are teams. Chicago is definitely the one that's like you're banking on. Not he was the second wide receiver picked in this draft. A really good, probably Hall of Fame receiver in Keenan Allen, staying healthy. DJ Moore really good, but is he that like? I mean, like by pro like now he's not going to be a number one wide receiver or be like the Devontae Adams to the Bears offense kind of like level kind of guy. It's all going to be, you'd think, kind of equal in target share and everything like that. But I don't know. Like it's all this is all fun. Also, like it's still the off season. I will. I not to be this guy too. Whenever stuff like this happens, when it's more like these kind of think pieces, like they really like think it out, it's always Wednesday because it's the deadest day in like the sports week. So you like, especially it's the week before the NBA draft. Oh, let's drop a mock draft, and everybody's like, Bronny James is where? Like that kind of thing, or like, um, it's always Wednesdays. Wednesdays is the key, like the day that always like you'll be on ESPN, watching ESPN or checking the homepage or whatever, and be like, where is this coming from? Oh, it's this predictable thing that gets circulated on First Take, it's circulated on ESPN social channels, all this stuff, and we're doing a pod about it. So it clearly is working what it's doing. Not that I'm saying this is Bill Barnwell's utmost like what he's trying to get at. I think he's a very smart football mind outside of what Numac probably feels about it right now.
Correct. I
But I'm just saying this is not like clickbaity. Let's get them let's get them. Blake Perkins is in the top 10 of center fielders and
That's very
MLB
funny.
history.
Regardless, like I think my biggest issue with it is that it's not ranking their skill levels like of like what's on the field and like what
Yeah, it's
we've
kind of
seen. He
it's
basically just made a fucking fantasy football ranking, because number one in this is the Niners, and like,
which
albeit
is
that's
not a surprise.
that's right. Like they have
Yeah.
one of the most talented specialists or like skill players on offense in the entire NFL. But like you think about it, they have Chris McCaffrey, the best running back, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Debo Samuel, among others. Juwan Jennings there as well. But then you kind of like look at the other teams. The Eagles are two: AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, along with Saquon Barkley that has got. That's 3 stars. And like I think he just is just valuing stardom and veterans who've been in the league for a few years more than actual skill. 3, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Devon Achane from the Dolphins. And then they
Mhm.
finally got, or that not finally, but they got Odell Beckham too. 4 is the Texans. Tank Dell is good. They got Stephon Diggs,
Nico
Nico
Collins,
Collins. Like, yes, I would agree.
Joe Mixon.
Ahead of the fucking Packers, Jordan, is the goddamn Jets. They have Garrett Wilson and Brees Hall. That's it. Like, you just can't tell me that their offensive players are better than the Packers. It's just not true. It's just not true. And I can't believe I'm getting as upset about this as I am, but I think it's downright pretty freaking dumb. I like where he has them. Like, I just don't know, dog. You're telling me that the Chiefs have a better entire offensive players with just Travis Kelce than the Packers do? Like, is Isaiah Pacheco better than Josh Jacobs? Is Rashee Rice, Sky Moore, and Kadarius Toney and Marquise Brown better than the Packers wide receiving core? I don't think it is at all.
See, now we're getting into who's throwing them the ball.
But that shouldn't matter. Quarterbacks are not involved
But
in
it
this.
clearly is mattering. I mean, I read the Jets section as you were just talking because I just don't really care about them anymore. But it talks a lot about Aaron Rodgers. So I was like, that's irrelevant to what you're trying to, the point that you're trying to make.
Exactly. Like Bill Barnwell's first point. Before you fire off an angry tweet, I'm firing it off, Bill. It's on a podcast. Though, consider the ground rules I went through in compiling this piece. In fucking bold, first sentence. This is just about running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends. It doesn't matter. He shouldn't name a quarterback in the rest of the piece. He just shouldn't. Because it's not about them. Right?
Yes, yeah. This might be where we take the limitations of a piece like this. Because, one, outside of the running back and occasionally like a gadget wide receiver, the quarterback is throwing them the ball.
Right. But it's not about them.
But it is intrinsically about them because that's how these receivers produce.
They can
So it's
produce in other
why
ways. They can
I
produce
know, but it's why you highly rate,
a good route
you know,
runner, a good
yeah.
running back, and I'm gonna fucking yell again. I just like I'm not saying Josh Jacobs is a top 2 running back in the NFL. Like I don't believe that. I think he's a top 10 running back, and I think his weight on this team is going to make them really good this year. I think he's better than Isaiah Pacheco. I think he's about as good as Saquon Barkley at this point in Saquon Barkley's career. Like, I don't know. I don't know, man. I saw this and I think I got mad in my soul, clearly.
Would you rather this be? I think your point of it being like fantasy football weapon team.
If he titles his article Best Fantasy Options on Each Team on Offense.
Yeah,
Perfect article. Perfect article. Because like your point earlier, the Packers don't have a dedicated number 1 wide receiver at this point in their season. Like it's
no.
who is going to produce the most from game to game. Like there's so many options,
Who?
which is my
I think.
fucking point, Jordan. If there's so many options, they have a good team.
Mhm. Which is what you want. which is what you want.
It is what you want. But that's
It's
the
what you
thing.
really, really want.
But if we're ranking fantasy options, that's bad. Because 1 week it could be Jaden Reed, 1 week it could be Dontavian Wicks, 1 week it could be 3 touchdowns to Tucker Kraft, or 4 to Josh Jacobs. It varies week to week with this team. I think that's how it's going. Their offense is going to go, and so of course it's
Yeah,
going to have bad fantasy value this season, right? As much as
yeah.
that doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things of the NFL. If that's what this article is, it's a great article because yes,
It's more consistent with the
with the
the
theme.
the yeah.
Like, because yes, the Chargers are fucking last. They have nobody on that
They have
team.
no one.
And then you look at and then you look
But
at the,
by proxy, I think we even touched on it when we talked about the AFC West. If there's a team that I would think like has no weapons and has a quarterback that could make someone out like a weapon out of someone, it's Justin Herbert. You know what I
yeah.
mean? He's literally playing with like paper mache out there.
Oh, I know. But
Yeah.
then two ahead of the Packers is the Ravens. The Ravens have Zay Flowers, equally as good as Jaden Reed last year. He was more shiny in the beginning of the season, but I think they performed about equal to each other last year. Mark Andrews, very good. Isaiah Likely, when he's on the field, he's good. Not that he's hurt, but obviously Mark Andrews
More
has
so Andrews is hurt. Yeah.
right. You're telling me that 30-year-old Derrick Henry is still that guy? I think he slowed down last year. I like Derrick Henry's good. He's a good running back. He's on the wrong side of 30 with a lot of miles on him. Like I'm just annoyed. I just think it's just so wrong. I think it's such a backwards way to write and frame an article for clicks in July and for reactions. And I'm a moth at a lamp right now. Moth to a flame. He got me. I admit it. He got me. But god damn it. It's just stupid. And I want to talk about it because I think the Packers wide receivers and their skill players this year are gonna be good. Like I have I'm not trying to be overly super mega optimistic like I would if I was like a Niners fan and like that level of team build right now.
But that is the ceiling.
But that is the ceiling. Because who they have right now on this team and where they're at in their careers and like their youth, like this could be a little mini era, if not a prolonged era for the Packers, because they have, I think, what legitimately 5 options at receiver to for one to pop. Like if Christian Watson, again, big if he's healthy, star receiver. If Romeo Dobbs fixes catching simple balls rather than having stone hands every
And
couple of balls,
consistency.
then again, that's a good receiver. That's a solid wide receiver too. Jaden Reed has potential to be a number 1 receiver at the slot position. Dontavian Wicks has all of NFL Twitter talking. Like if anybody who's reviewing tape right now looking at like receivers to pop, Dontavian Wicks' name is coming up a hell of a lot. Like Mina Kimes talks about it. Um, there's a couple other of national reporters too that are like, watch out for Dontavian Wicks. He's good.
Oh, the underdog guy. What's his name? Josh
Yeah, I forget his name.
Norris, maybe.
Um,
I think of an MTV News guy instead. I'm
maybe.
that old.
But then like I'm not trying to like really go down like the
It is
barrel.
Josh Norris.
I'm not trying to like really reach for the bottom of the barrel either. Bull Mountain's good too. Like he's like wide receiver 5. And it's just I'm not gonna say disrespectful because I think that's just like more putting more intent to it than I think Bill Barnwell had this instance. But it's just I can't believe that's where this list ended up. I'm sorry for going on a 25-minute rant about it.
No, I think it's I don't know. This is ultimately it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. The Packers win football games. That is what we are going to be more excited about more than anything. But the way that they are building, it could not be further from the Devontae save us years. You know what I mean? Because it was just Alan Lazar was a great pickup, find, whatever you want to call it, to kind of shore up the depth that the Packers just didn't have in any other position. I mean, outside of like Robert Tunyon's like touchdown frenzy year, it really was Devontae doing the heavy lifting for Rodgers. Devontae Adams' name should be on those MVP awards as much as Aaron Rodgers, to be honest.
Yeah,
Um, so that is kind of the swerve that the Packers have made, and it's for the better. But this is where it gets hard. Like it is just hard. It's better to have more shots at a number one guy that you are going to ride or die with, especially when I feel like you just saw something else that aggrieved you right now. You're muted.
I was just looking at the Raiders' position.
Oh.
That's all.
um, I do think this probably would have benefited from just doing full rankings by position and just be like, where does this top 100 wide receivers, as daunting as that is, or like running backs, tight ends, because like I think the Packers have a really good problem on their hands is that they had a lot of like their tight ends. Luke Musgrave was as much as he couldn't run, save his life like a normal person.
He can
He was
run, he just
productive.
can't stay upright.
Yeah, he can't stay upright. He baby deer, that kind of thing. Um, First half of the season before he, football, hurt his body, in his spleen. Um, Productive. He was productive, and then Tucker Craft made not. He wasn't like you know Travis Kelsey or anything like that, but very key, like and was like a touchdown merchant almost. Done the latter half of the season,
Yeah.
but they had a lot of like 2-3 guys make up the sum of the parts kind of thing. I don't know. Like I don't know how to rate that, how to rank that comparison to more established players. I do think it is kind of egregious, not just the Chicago of it all, but like the Jets, not just keep punching on them, but like that's where everything is subjective. It's kind of the strong link players versus like the guys that are still trying to establish themselves. That's where it's like, yeah, we know who Brees Hall is. We know who Josh Jacobs is for
Right.
we want to flip turn the other side of the coin, whatever that is. But yeah, like for the players that we think that you're making the bets on, like the Wicks, the Reeds, the Christian Watson, if he can play a fully healthy season, that's who's going to matter at the end of the day. Yeah, I mean, and it's both exciting that the Packers have as many shots as they do, but it's also agonizing to actually determine which one will it be because I think anybody really has an equal fair shot at kind of being like, oh, that's the guy. Like Jaden Reed, for example, if we're making these 49ers connections, he clearly like the archetype that he's going for is like the Debo Samuel kind of guy. It's the kind of you know, making plays behind the line of scrimmage, being able to air it out. Like he just can do so many different things that like clearly is fun to play with if you're Jordan Love, and obviously for Matt LaFleur, just creativity wise. But
Right.
yeah, it's a lot harder for the guys that I or a haven't had as much time to get reps like a Wicks are hurt, Watson. Consistency issues, Dobbs. Or didn't play until like the last 3 weeks of the season, Bo Melton. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of all over the board.
No, absolutely. And I think like that's my biggest issue about it is that it's not consistent whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like I go through the other teams, the Jaguars are right ahead of the Packers at 16. Like I don't necessarily agree with that either. Like Calvin Ridley's gone. They just have Travis Etienne. They just got Brian Thomas. They got Gabe Davis and Zay Jones. Like I just don't believe that, frankly. I just don't. And then Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Rashad White. Sure, if you want to believe that, I'm perfectly fine believing that because they're two elite receivers and Rashad White was pretty good last year. And then like ahead of that, I have no issues. The Bengals, Jamar Chase and T Higgins. They got rid of Joe Mixon and they have Zach Moss there now, but Jamar Chase was really good. Again, this is the star thing. The Falcons. very good. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson and company. Cordell Patterson and or no, I'm sorry, Cordell Patterson isn't there anymore. But like that's just a good three. Those three. That especially how good Bijan Robinson is. The Rams,
Yeah.
Kyron Williams, Puka Nakua, and Cooper Cup. That's a pretty good couple of them, right? Um,
Mm.
the Seahawks, Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, DK Metcalf, Juju Smith-Schuster, not Juju Smith-Schuster, my apologies, Jackson Smith, Najigba, and Tyler Lockett. Like that's a pretty good offensive squad. Like I get it. I just don't get the other three NFC North teams all so far ahead of the Packers. That's what's I think
Yeah.
the most frustrating to me is that they're 10 spots ahead of the Packers when only the Lions are meant to be there. Because we saw it last year with the Vikings and the Bears. Obviously, they got better in the offseason. The Vikings didn't. The Vikings have the same crew. Only Aaron Jones is like a new person in that offense. In the spots
No.
Bill Barnwell is talking about.
Yeah. Well,
Who else?
yes.
Who'd they get?
Well, the fact that Hawkinson's hurt
Right.
didn't ton you.
That right. Like that's
Yeah.
the ebb and flow, right? The Vikings don't, in my opinion, don't deserve to be there. And the Bears is a big we'll see. Like it's just they might be good. Keenan Allen might be on the field. DJ Moore is deserving of that spot in this ranking because he's spoiler alert, maybe the sixth best receiver in the NFL, where the Bears are the sixth best offense in the NFL, according to Bill Barnwell, or sixth best skill players. And so I I should stop because I'm now repeating points, but I, you get my point. Is my thing.
Mm.
I just don't think this is even close to accurate as it pertains to the NFC North.
We shall see. It's a great thing about it.
That is, they got to play the games, right?
Yep.
All right. From one North to the other, shall we get into our AFC predictions about the AFC North? Not predictions, but sort of recapping the AFC and where they're at coming out of the offseason.
Let's do it.
Is there a team you want to start with?
I was just about to check the standings, but they're all freaking bunched up together.
They are.
Um, and also the Bengals being the last place team probably is not going to happen this year, but injuries always happen.
Right?
Let's just do what we have usually done. Let's start with the Bengals.
Okay. Yeah, we start with those Bengals. Uh, the Bengals this year, as I vamp to find my tab that has the Bengals on it. Um, lose a couple of players. They lose Tyler Boyd to the Titans. They lose their interior defensive lineman DJ Reader to the Lions. Um, they also lose their cornerback Chidobe Awunzie, I believe is how you pronounce it. He also went to the Titans. Um,
Jonah Williams, their left tackle
yep.
of many years.
He went to the
There's
Cardinals
mhm.
to be Kyler Murray's left hand man.
You got the whole T Higgins thing.
That wasn't fun for them whatsoever.
No, and he hasn't signed, right?
His sheet,
He signed his
he might have signed his.
He did re-sign with the Bengals. I forgot. Yeah, that was kind of somewhat recent, last month at least.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, he signed his franchise tag for 21 million. So, but then they traded Joe Mixon to the Texans as we talked about in my little rant. They lose Irv Smith Jr. isn't a big deal to the Chiefs, but like he was a capable backup as always has been kind of thing. I don't really know how much better they get. Like they signed Mike Gesicki to replace Irv Smith Jr. I'm not really sure that's that significant. Um,
Zach Moss is going to be their starting running back.
right. And I'd imagine with that being the line of thinking that they're not going to be running the ball a whole lot. Obviously, you still need to, but I don't know. It's a little scary for them. Like obviously, Joe Burrow is Joe Burrow, and he's darn good. He's going to make a lot of plays with Jamar Chase and T Higgins, but I don't love the depth there. Like I think Zach Moss last year showed for the Colts that he's pretty good. Like he's a fine starter. I don't think he's a top end starter in the NFL. Like if you were to tell me to name 16 better
Wait, who
starters,
is this?
Zach Moss.
Zach Moss. Well, I have a handy guide right here. Let's go to Bill Barnwell's
I hate you
ranking.
so much. Oh,
To be fair, where he puts the Bengals
11,
is
right?
11th.
Yeah.
11th.
And like again, I think that's heavily carried by T Higgins or by Jamar Chase, which again,
And and the ceiling of T Higgins because last year was
right,
you think is an anomaly, in
right.
part because of Burrow.
But then you look at this team and where else is the production coming from? Like again, Zach Moss was good last year in Jonathan Taylor's absence in Indianapolis. Like I think Zach Moss again, capable running back. What does he do with a starting role? I don't know, honestly, but I think it's important for them to establish some sort of run and have it be successful. Otherwise, it looks a lot like the success that the Packers had between like 2012 and 2018, where it's just
At the very least,
all
it's money
quarterback.
balling.
Right. And it, obviously, quarterbacks reign supreme in the NFL. Like, if you have a good one, you're going to lean on them a whole lot. And I think that's what they're going to do with Joe Burrow, obviously. I just like now having experienced a little balance after Rodgers left with like last year with they had a good balance with the run game and the passing game.
17th ranked.
And I don't know. Like I guess I don't think they're going to be bad whatsoever. They'll still be pretty good. I'm just this team has I think a giant question mark if one of Jamar Chase and Tiggins isn't healthy on offense because then it becomes really really just like recognizable of the Devontae Adams era, Aaron Rodgers era Packers.
Yeah, I think because the Bengals went to the Super Bowl going
Yep.
on 3 seasons ago,
Yep.
there's a lot of this healthy. We've seen what the ceiling of this team is. You know what I mean? They can say we beat the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl. Like there's not a lot of teams that can say that. You know what I mean? With Patrick Mahomes there.
Right.
It's
No,
either Tom
absolutely.
Brady or Joe Burrow.
Yep.
Right? Am I right?
You're right.
So that kind of gives them this cachet, whether it's earned or not, of just like, well, they've done it before, they can maybe do it again. And I don't think it's misplaced by any means. I think
No.
having the a one like just a one-on-one connection like Burrow to Chase just gives you that level of yeah, they're bankrolling 10 wins if it all works out. If T Higgins pops, or Zach Moss is not just this kind of fantasy football savior because Jonathan Taylor holds out and gets hurt or whatever. Um, but yeah, I think you are not. I think you're correct in just kind of it's not just because it's happened before doesn't mean it's going to happen again. You know what I mean? And I do think that they're better positioned than say probably the Bills. Honestly, I think my kind of read for this year it's probably going to either be like the Bengals, maybe the Texans get in there of challenging the Chiefs. The Ravens are always like we know they're going to be good. We'll get to the Ravens soon anyway, so I'll just hold my thoughts. But yeah, I think the ceiling of being a Super Bowl, you know, qualifying team, not to hang that banner, but it does earn them some kind of trust when you're almost 3 years removed from that. Joe Burrow has missed 2 seasons, not 2 seasons worth, but 2 seasons of like pretty big football, and he's a
Oh
really
yeah.
good quarterback. Don't get me wrong,
Oh yeah, for sure.
but it just shows you like they had a really good like backup quarterback in Jake Browning, and they still finished last in a very. The thing too is that this division, whether it's like stupid, sucky football, Mike Tomlin always getting like a winning record, all that stuff, it's still highly competitive every year. So you have to get through your division, and then it's like when it opens up, it's like, oh yeah, we have to go against CJ Stroud, possibly. We have to go obviously go up against Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen if the Bills are that far into it. Maybe the Dolphins if they figure it out. They're kind of this weird the variance between what the floor is and what the ceiling is probably wider than a lot of these teams are, I would say.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that pretty strongly. Um, Anything else on the Bengals? We're gonna move on to the next team up on the list, which I believe is the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, let's talk about the
Okay.
freaking Steelers.
Why? What is that?
Because they're just like it is. I was thinking about it. Obviously, Russell Wilson's on this team, so it's already it already commands a lot of attention, whether it's earned or not. But
Right?
and it's they're just perpetually they're gonna win, but it's like, wow, what does it mean?
Are they? This year it might be a little tough for them. Russell
Well,
Wilson
let's go into it.
and or Justin Fields at quarterback. They traded like pretty much their only competent wide receiver in Deontay Johnson to the Panthers, which I like that deal for the Panthers. I think they get back Dante Jackson. I think that was the same trade, but I don't know for sure. They traded with each other once or twice.
Mm-hmm.
They add Cam Sutton to their defense from the Lions. He wasn't the best for the Lions last year, but it's something. They lose Chukwuma Okafor, the right tackle to the Patriots. Allen Robinson leaves them. Like he wasn't that good either. But
No, he was
again,
cool.
talent out without much talent in. They signed Cordell Patterson to be their like one of the wide receivers. Like that's not ideal. They get Dean Lowry, former Packer, former Viking. Like I'm not sure how much he helps.
Ugh.
Um, they did re-sign Montravius Adams, another former Packer, if I'm not mistaken. Um, they did sign Patrick
Yeah,
Queen.
you're right.
Signed Patrick Queen from the Ravens. Like that's a good ad for them.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, man. They added Van Jefferson as a receiver. That's not like super great either. They added Scott Miller as a receiver. That's not super great either. I don't know. They had a lot of turnover this offseason
They moved
and
on from their punter.
yeah, which like sure.
Um,
Resigned they signed Cameron Johnson, the Texans punter, to replace him. Like however much that matters. They signed Quez Watkins to like a deal. Like I just don't know what the talent is going to be like for them this year because I just don't think it's there. They still have Najee Harris and Jalen Warren. Like I think Jalen Warren's better
Jalen
than
Warren is a stud.
I think he is. I think Najee Harris has probably has his last year in
Yeah.
in Pittsburgh this year.
Justin Fields might be running back number two.
Yep. But the receiver room is George Pickens, Van Jefferson, and Roman
It's got to be.
Wilson, and then Pratt Firemuth is their tight end. Like I just don't know how they score points. Honestly, they might just be running the ball that much. And then, of course, like they added Troy Fatanu, their rookie that they drafted this year. They still have T.J. Watt. They still have Keanu Benton. Obviously, Patrick Queen helps. Joey Porter Jr. helps. Minka Fitzpatrick helps on defense. Like they're gonna be a hard nosed defense football team as always. I just think it looks even harder for them to score points this year than it did last year with Kenny Pickett and company.
I Yeah, I mean, I would say that they're going to be the worst team in the division by far,
That's where I'd
clearly.
have them too.
But I don't know. This is why Mike Tomlin might be a wizard. And like for all the things I was saying, like the Bengals have done it before. Why would you bank on that before? Like Mike Tomlin's done this for 20 years, legitimately. And it's not, I don't think it's going to be great. I don't think it's going to be, let's see where they ranked Bill Barnwell's. Uh,
Why ain't taking it as me?
I'm not antagonizing. I'm asking questions. They actually they ranked 27.
Yeah, that's about right.
That's high.
I would agree.
High.
You put for the people not hearing the whispers. You should put the
Sorry,
Chargers above them.
I might put the Chargers higher than that.
Maybe. I don't know. The Chargers
I don't know.
issue is that no one's played.
Yeah, literally no one's played.
Quinton Johnson's
But
like the only one, and he was not good
is
last
that
year.
better than people have played and played poorly? Like George Pickens is
I don't
really
know. Ask fucking Bill. Sorry.
has my George Pickens in particular feels like, to use borrow a basketball analogy, you really get obsessed with a guy's like mixtape. Like, look at this guy. Hit the 3 minutes. He could catch one-handed balls
We
for
love
touchdowns.
we love summer empty gym workout videos.
And then you're like, oh, you're like J.R. Smith is like a bad example because he was a really good
The
But
perfect
Deion Waiter, I don't want to be Deion Waiter's guy. Like he's just like the always like the chucker guy.
Ben Simmons summer workout videos are the ones.
Oh
He's
yeah,
shooting threes again, Jordan.
yeah, yes he is. Um, but that's where it kind of feels like with George Pickens of like this guy has a lot of hype, and I say this as someone that wanted the Packers to draft him when he was going out for the draft because it was like, look at this super speedy, well built, muscular guy that clearly can beat his man in any kind of route, and you just get like sucked into the athleticism that he has. And granted, his quarterbacks have been Mason Rudolph and what is his name?
Kenny Pickett.
Kenneth Pickett. Kenneth
Kenneth
Pickett.
Pickett.
So it's not like it's, but he's going to Russell Wilson. Like Russell Wilson, like I think we talked about it a couple of pods ago, but like I have no idea what Russell Wilson does anymore. He is kind of like, I don't think it made sense for the Broncos to move on from him, obviously from a financial standpoint because they just really torpedoed everything. But he goes to a coach that kind of mirrors his whole aura of like, you can't be as bad as you can, but you're not gonna be as good as you think you could be. You know what I mean? That's kind of
Yeah.
how it is. The perfect marriage. Not in that's not what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying.
Go ahead. Put the shovel down.
Sorry, honey.
Yeah, I just don't know how they're gonna manage next year. They won 10 games last year, which is incredible.
That's and they went to the playoffs.
Hmm.
I mean they sucked. They sucked in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But they could say that we went to the playoffs, which
Yeah.
is insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
All right. Should we move on to the Cleveland Browns?
Yes.
They still have a predator at quarterback, allegedly. But I'm pretty sure it's not allegedly. But it also is allegedly because it's the whole 9 yards. But regardless, still led by Deshaun Watson and his massive contract. Um,
He
they
wasn't
end
even
up,
their most productive quarterback last year.
yeah.
He
Um,
wasn't the reason why they went to the playoffs last year.
no, you're it's 1,000% right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they still have Nick Chubb, who's coming off a pretty traumatic leg injury. How he comes back, I think, really ends up driving this team. Um, but it's not to say that they, for lack of trying at the talent in the talent acquisition department, they trade for Jerry Jeudy and extend him to a big deal. They signed Naheem Hines from the Bills to be their backup. They also add, not that it's a super big um, move, but they added Justin Hardy from the Jets last year. It's actually a pretty negligible move. I don't know why I mentioned that one, but
Wait, who is this?
Justin Hardy. I thought I recognized his name, but I don't recognize his name anymore for some reason. I don't know why my brain did that to me.
He did not
Um,
play any snaps last
I
year.
don't know why that name sounds so familiar to me, but like I like saw that I was like, oh yeah, him, and then
Do you
it
think he
just
was JJ Hardy?
maybe if I'm just my wires are crossed that much. Um, but they lost Marquise Goodwin. They lost Jakeem Grant, two guys who did get snaps for them. Same with Kareem Hunt. They did like he's still a free agent. Um, Devin Bush signed with them, which is good. Like is good. Devin Bush, if he's still, is he the old Buccaneer? Am I?
You're thinking Devin White.
Oh, that's right. Yep, 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 yep. Yep.
I think
So,
Devin White went to Philly actually.
hmm that sounds appropriate. They do
Philly
end up
kid.
signing Jameis Winston, hilariously, as their backup. Um, but yeah, I think they'll be just fine. They end up signing Donta Foreman also. I think they'll end up being just fine this year. They still have Amari Cooper. They still have um, with the addition of Jerry Judy. I think that gets a little bit him out of a worse situation. Like not to sports wash Deshaun Watson, but he's a good quarterback. If he can get back to what he showed when he was early in his career before his extended absence due to all the allegations that were floating out, the if you can be that for them, that's really good. But I think they have a chance to be pretty decent because that defense has been pretty good the last few years. Pretty hard hitting. They re-signed Zadarius Smith. They have Elijah Moore still. I was always a believer in him if he can like get his footing. And then David Njoku for them has been good for a while.
Um, they looking at over the cap, they didn't really lose anybody of
Significance,
significant
yeah,
value. Like they got Jordan Hicks, they got Jerry Judy, re-signing Zadarius Smith. I mean, for however Packers fans feel about him, and I'm saying this as someone who owns his jersey. I think he's a really good player, and I think it's worth having someone that's a good player. That's just my opinion. Um, but yeah, the only person that you can really say that they lost value in is Joe Flacco.
yeah, yeah,
Really, like outside of from a free agency perspective, obviously Nick Chubb, how he comes, I like, I don't know. That might not be this year, folks. That might be a while. Um,
yeah. I would imagine he might not make it. I guess I'm no doctor. I don't know his timeline, but that was a really traumatic injury that he had.
yes,
And
and it wasn't the first in his career either.
nope, I think he tore more than just his ACL too, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken. I
it
don't think it
was
ever
like a
came out, but
compound
it was not good.
torn MCL and damaged ACL.
Yeah. And so like Jerome Ford for as a backup last year was good in spurts. I think like their running back by committee behind him now is pretty good. Like Jerome Ford, Donta Foreman, and Naheem Hines, like they're all good in their own way in spurts. Hot hand kind of way to run your running back room.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, that defense is just so good, dude. They still have Miles Garrett, like Denzel Ward is very good. Jeremiah Osogu Koromora or
that guy's a
Koromoa,
beast.
Jock they call him JOK,
Yeah,
is a beast. Like Dalvin Tomlinson
I
is good. Like they have a really good defense. Greg Newsome the second is like pretty good.
I think they're just like a very professional football team. And I hate that I just said it like that because I'm not like that kind of guy.
Yeah,
But like I you can't they're just gonna be a really
they're
like
solid. They're solid through and through.
yeah. And I don't think that again, I would not peg them to probably win a playoff game. I mean, they didn't win one last year, and that might have been their best chance without knowing that CJ Stroud is apparently the next quarterback coming. Yeah, I mean. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I just second place seems good. Even if they don't really figure out the Watson at all is obviously the biggest thing is that if he's just mid lane, it's like, yeah, you're 9-7, 9-8, 8-9. Yeah, I mean, like you can never really bottom out. It's just that you're always just kind of either just trending like this.
Mm-hmm. No, I get it, and I think their biggest thing is that they just need Deshaun Watson to play like the $265 million man. I think is what that contract is,
Yeah,
but it's a lot, and so they just need him to play at that level. And if he doesn't play at that level, 200 million. My apologies. I think is the is their dead money. I'm not really sure what the full contract is, but um, regardless, it's a lot of money that guy got, all fully
Yeah.
guaranteed, and so they can't cut weight with him. He's signed through 2027, and so he just needs to be a better quarterback for them. That's as simple. It's as simple as that. It was 5 years, 230, by the way. Um, like he just needs to be a better quarterback, and if he's not, they're not going to be a better team. They'll,
Yeah.
they'll be where they're at last year, which was what 10-7. I think where they
They were 11-6, I think.
11 and
11 and
6,
6.
but not with him with Joe Flacco at the helm for the majority of that. And so, what do if you said like you said, if you're a meddling team hovering around 9-10 wins every year in a
Yeah.
division with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens and Joe Burrow and the Bengals? Like 10 wins doesn't really get you that far as like a division winner. At least not right now in this division, clearly, because they Baltimore won it with 13 last year. And so I don't know, man. Like their defense is going to keep them in games always. Like that's just for sure. But for context, like the Ravens lit the season on fire last year, right? They're I'm gonna pull up their schedule quickly just so that I have my I have the games right. But excuse me, contextually, they had two games in which they absolutely throttled opponents. They beat Miami 56-19 in week 17. And then I thought they had another huge game too, but I'm seemingly they beat Detroit 38-6 in week 7.
Hmm.
Overall, their point differential last year was plus 204. Do you realize how insane that is?
That's crazy.
203, my apologies. But still, 203. They've scored 203 more points than their opponents last year. The Browns, second in the division, were plus 34. For
Yeah.
context, the Bills were at 140. The Dolphins were at 105, despite that 50-point beatdown. The Chiefs at 77. The Texans at 24, the lowest for a first place team um, in the AFC. The Lions are only at plus 66. The Packers are at plus 33. The Cowboys 194. The Niners 193. And the Bucks actually had the lowest across the NFL as a division leader, and were actually outscored by the Saints, which was very funny. Regardless, like if you're going to be in the upper echelon of like those teams that are really really good and have Super Bowl aspirations, you just got to score points, right? And
Yeah.
that's that's the thing with the Browns. They they allowed 362 points, which is I'm gonna say about league average. Just kind of scoring maybe a little more than league average, but like if they allowed 362 and they didn't make it to 400 for points that they scored, it's not the best. They just need to be a more dynamic offense than what they are currently, I think, to actually take that next step towards being a contender.
To be fair, too, they ranked 20th on Bill Barnwell's playmakers column.
Of course they did. Again, if you're taking an injuries into it, which I'm sure he is with Nick Chubb, yeah, I don't know why you gotta do this with me.
I'm just I'm
The end point of that sentence was T.J. Hawkinson is also hurt through the majority of the season, probably. Sorry, go on.
uh Ravens? Are we doing Ravens?
Yeah, we'll go do those Baltimore Ravens.
Baltimore
Yep.
Ravens. A lot different scenario here.
Yeah, they lost a few pieces. They lost Jadeveon Clowney, who played.
Quite a few.
Yep, lost Jadeveon Clowney, lost ODB, who was helpful for them and for the most part. They lost Kevin Zeitler, the right guard, to the Lions. Um, they lost who's the other? J.K. Dobbins to the Chargers. Devin
Patrick
Duvernay.
Queen,
Yep, Patrick Queen, obviously as we mentioned
Kevin
earlier.
Zeitler,
Yep.
Geno Stone, the kind of 1 year wonder went to Cincinnati. We didn't talk about him there, but yeah.
Yeah. Um, let's see, Morgan Moses, their other right tackle. So they have two. They have a two new entire right
Yeah.
side of their offensive line. That's not ideal. J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards follow each other to L.A., which is really funny to the Chargers. Like, there's a lot of turnover in this team. Like Devin Duvernay, not a big signing by any means, but he was definitely getting balls there. Like, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And so, yeah, this team will still be good. That is that is a promise. They got Derrick Henry, as you mentioned earlier. They that was really their only like big addition. Looking at this chart, like they didn't really add a whole lot else. And honestly, it's just because they really couldn't. Lamar Jackson's not a big deal. Like their cap sheet's a little thick. You know what I mean? With Lamar Jackson deal. They have Marlon Humphrey still. They still have Marcus Williams and Ronnie Stanley, and Mark Andrews, and Roquan Smith that they paid the big money deal to toward. Like this team is good. I think it's just like okay, this team is good. How do they improve on last year after this many departures?
Yeah, I mean, are they gonna win the conference? Be the number one seed? Probably not.
Probably not.
I I don't think that they're gonna hit the same ceiling. Even as good as Lamar is, they lost so many guys. I say that as someone that acknowledges that they draft well, they pick up, they're as good as the Packers with undrafted guys. They're like, who's that guy? Oh, it's the guy that they picked up like, during training camp, and suddenly he is like their most outstanding wide receiver or something like that.
Right.
I don't, yeah, like this is a well-oiled machine, and there's no fault in what they can do. Lamar Jackson won MVP last. Yeah, he won MVP last year, right?
He did.
Rightfully so, because he was that good. Like he is a one-man offense into his own, not unlike Mahomes and everything like that. He's earned the benefit of the doubt, regardless of any playoff misgivings that he might have. Um, but yeah, they had quite a hit on their line. They had losing Odell Beckham Jr. is not good for them from how important he was by the end of the year. Their backfield, as much as it was injury plagued and banged up, Gus Edwards was like always just kind of like all right, let's break out Gus Edwards to be this like kind of like folk hero performer for them. Like he
Yeah.
just was dependable.
Mm-hmm.
That is a shift for them, and my money is on them to figure it out, but it isn't going to come without some consequences, probably. You know what I mean?
Oh,
It
absolutely.
might not mean that they hit the ground running. This might be where they kind of have to figure it out the first couple of weeks, and then we see a better Ravens team as the year goes on. But yeah, I do think there's probably going to be some adjustment. And again,
Yeah.
the mitigating factor here is you're in the toughest division in the league.
Yeah. I think it probably all looks a lot better because they have Lamar Jackson. Like having a good QB hides a lot of flaws, obviously, as we
Yeah.
well know as Packers fans. And so I think yeah, they'll probably still be pretty good. I think this division is a toss up again this year. Like I don't think any team is going to run away with it. It'll be interesting. Like I think there's three teams that can win the division for sure. Ravens are obviously one of them, but I agree with you. I think there's going to be an adjustment period for them just because like yes, they still have their main focal points on offense, Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, and they get Derrick Henry in there, which in name is better than J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. I think this is a 1 year fix at running back at best. I think, like I just don't know with how much he ran. He's run all his life, right? Like the I could gather my thoughts. The man's been running the football a very long time. His high school stats are bonkers. They're just the craziest numbers that you've seen from a high school running back. He goes to Alabama. He's the lead back for them for a couple of years. And then you look at how much he was used for the Titans, and it's just like, yeah, he was their offense for so long. He's one of the only people in the NFL's history to have a 2,000 yard rushing season. Like
Yeah.
there's not a lot of them. But going from 2018 to 2023, 1,000 yards, 1,500 yards, 2,000, 900. He got hurt that year in 2021. He only played 8 games. 1,500, 1,100 last year. And he had 300 carries in 3 of the last 5 seasons. In 8 games in 2021, in 8 games, Jordan, he had 219 carries. For context, he played 17 last year and had 280 carries. Like, there's just a lot of miles on Derrick Henry, dude. He's
Yeah.
he just turned 30 in January, so he'll be ending the season at 31. I just worry about the production and the availability of Derrick Henry. And I like Derrick Henry like everybody else does. Like Derrick Henry is a fun running back to watch, especially when he gets moving. I just don't know how long it can last for Derrick Henry. It kind of feels like, not comparing the two in talent level and achievements, it feels like the LeBron meme. Remember when there's a meme, it came out, it was like
Hmm.
2013, 2012-ish time when uh
Well,
there's a LeBron meme where a fan goes, uh I don't like LeBron, man. I'm just happy this dude's almost 30. His prime's almost done. And then obviously LeBron goes on to have a
or like when everybody thought Tom Brady was done, and
yeah, the same idea. Like surely this is ending soon.
yeah,
Like if that's how Derrick Henry ages, the more power to him. There's just a lot of miles on those legs, dog.
for what it's worth, Bill Barnwell ranks the Ravens 15th.
I know. That's my issue. Where do you have him ranked, Jordan? Top to bottom.
What do I have them ranked? Oh,
The
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 division.
division.
Rankings are not are harder.
It is
I
harder.
was I was trying to make a joke. I'm definitely going. I'm gonna talk myself into it. I'm gonna go.
You got it.
I can't read. Ravens,
Shh.
Bengals, Browns, Steelers.
That's what I have.
It's Ravens, Bengals, Browns, Steelers.
That is an audio joke for you, or a video joke for you
Video.
audio people. Jordan put a chasm between those teams at the end there. Yeah, Ravens, Bengals, Browns, Steelers for me. I just think it'll be really tight up top. Like it's gonna be a really close division. I think I could see the Bengals sticking away with it if they come out hot. And yeah, we talked about it all. Yeah, Ravens, Bengals, Browns, Steelers, and I think same as last year, they get 3 teams in the playoffs. So, anything else, Jordan? Or to wrap up?
Um, I think that's good.
Perfect.
You got you. Do you feel better? Do you feel better exercising your?
A little bit. Still mad about it, but I feel a little bit. Got it out.
So bad about it. That's funny.
All right, folks. Thank you for listening to the latest episode of Talk with Tundra. You can go follow us on the Twitter machine at Numac is known at Jordan Tresky at Packers GSPN for Talk with Tundra, where we tweet out the pod every week. Go check out the Substack if you want to listen to this here pod without the mid-roll ads, and also check out GSPN's Substack for all the new GSPN After Darks. We did one this week on the best Brewers All Stars throughout history, as well as Milwaukee Braves All Stars, as well as talked about the current 2024 MLB All Star team and Bryce Terang's snub off of that team. Um, Doing GSPN's After Dark every week, $8 a month, plus you get, like I said, all the pods you currently get in your podcast feed without ads and written articles by all of us here authors over at GSPN. So if you want to continue to support us to make these cool new things and cool new pods and that stuff, we'd really appreciate it. GSPN.info to subscribe. Go check out the rest of the GSPN catalog of pods. The Bucks feed has been working overdrive, been on fire with how many pods come out with free agency and summer camp and things like that. 1-6 made its appearance after its little bit of a hiatus. Thankfully, I was
Mhm.
happy to listen to that mailbag that Jordan and Adam McGee had dropped this week, talking about just the offseason in general and how they're stacking up in the East. Go listen to Ty and Rohan on Eurostep as well as they go through the list of signings and things like that. First place, Milwaukee Brewers. Adam and Andrew Snyder are doing great coverage over there of the Brewers and their series or their season up to now, what is going to be the All Star break in about one day here on Sunday. And then obviously go check out the California Time for this. As always, I like to plug that because it's fun to listen to. That's for sure. All right, folks. Thanks again for listening to us. Go subscribe to the Substack at GSP.info. We'll be back in your podcast feeds very soon. And thank you for listening. And Jordan, thank you.
Thank you.